Shake, 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 shake. Oh, shake, 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 shake. Oh, shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
All right, who else has dealt with, has been involved with engagement? What do they like? What do they not like? And
So I attended my first virtual event that was one of the 3D events, like an avatar type event, 2 weeks ago. It was the first time I've been in lots of virtual events, and the other ones I call 2D events. And I was surprised by an aspect of that. Now, I wouldn't overall say that that's the platform to go with in general. I'm not advocating that, but there was an aspect of that, which was as you moved around space, everyone's mic was basically on live all the time, and you can hear people around you as you get close to them, and they get louder as you move by them, and they get softer. And so it's like there are conversations all around that you hear, and as you move up, you join conversations. And I was shocked. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised at how much that kept me engaged in the platform. And it really felt like I was on a trade show floor, and I was talking to people, and you'd hear someone say something next, or you'd be walking by and you'd hear someone say something about something, and you might stop and actually just say hey, and people were very inviting and talking and like that. And so it mimicked a real-time randomized experience like you get face to face, in a way that I had not experienced in any 2D platform before. Now, again, there were lots of other aspects of the 3D that I wouldn't say was a win, overall. So I wouldn't say that's the way you have to go, but that aspect of it was very good.
so this is a small group, and Christina's asked you a question. I don't know if you can see it. And so what platform is it?
Yeah, that was on Virbela, Virbela. Virbela was the platform.
Mind posting name in the chat when you get a chance? I'm curious about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll put it. And I've heard it's probably relatively expensive, but what Virbela, there you go. What I didn't think had a lot of value in that, and has anyone else by show of hands experienced a 3D avatar meeting? No.
I have.
Yeah, because they're pretty pricey, I've heard, right? I didn't think the avatar part of it necessarily added a lot to it. In fact, when you're standing, say, in a group of 3 people and you're talking, the avatar just stands there stiffly, right? And this is actually face-to-face, from a face-to-face conversation perspective, much more interactive, because I can see real people and I can see your faces. And so it was missing that. And so I didn't really think that the avatar part in and of itself was of value, but the part about moving about a virtual space and hearing sounds that fade and come in, and being able to enter spaces and talk to people, that was engaging. And so I think there's an opportunity for 2D platforms to kind of merge those two, merge video, picture in a picture video, and hearing things around you in a way that would be very effective.
So I'm sorry, David, the witness protection program. Can you
no, I
was
kidding about using my photo in this case, because I'm wanted in 2 other states. But I'll add a note for pointing that this is really incredibly interesting, and love this whole platform. But I was reminded of something from the discussion of Thanksgiving. In the colonial days, all the old colonial churches had these long wooden posts with a little head knocker on them. And it was somebody's job to walk through the congregation and rap people on their head when they started to fall asleep during a service. You guys have probably heard that. So we raised this question in a recent discussion about this, like when you're on a Zoom thing or a webinar, how do you rap people on the head at certain intervals to wake them up and make sure they're engaged? And one thing somebody mentioned is having a series of points going on. You know, my wife has to take CLEs, and that's continuing education. And the way those work is they ask you a question every now and again. If you don't answer it, they kick you off the platform to make sure you're awake, because obviously if you're not listening to it, if you're not watching TV, you're not paying attention. Somebody else suggested that we get everybody's phone number and then call them up at certain interviews. But I'll throw a question out there, because I think it is highly relevant to virtual. How do you wrap people on the head? I will shut up now.
You know, that's actually a great question. I'm going to go back to Christina, because one of the things she used, and I had the opportunity, I've interviewed a few people here. One of the things, I'm going to bring out what you said, because I'm not sure that you remember it, is that the gamification is that there's competitive people out there, not everybody, but the more you interact, the more points you get in the leaderboards, whether there's prizes or not. And so not everybody's motivated the same way. That's the other thing about gamification. So you got to round it out to get people to what interests them. But one of the things certainly is, whether it's prizes or just being number one or being recognized, which is another thing, it is a way. What else in engagement? Let's hear from some other people.
So, Jim, I just was at MPI's WEC, and we had our board meetings before WEC started, and there was about half of us in person and half, on Zoom. And, it really went well. The people on Zoom could see the whole room, which was good, but there were some technical difficulties. And what I thought was interesting is when WEC started and they started to do the breakouts, they would do the breakouts face-to-face without a virtual audience. So it was just the face-to-face people in the breakout, and then the presenters would go to a MASH studio and do the same session just for the virtual audience. And it really, to me, was kind of brilliant in the fact that either one didn't have interruptions. They didn't have distractions. And the presenters for the virtual people were really focused on them. Whereas we know where there's a hybrid event, many times the presenter forgets that they have 1,200 people out there online. And so it really, I think, appealed to both audiences.
Interesting. So separating the in-person and the hybrid from the virtual so that you can manage it that way. Nice.
Yeah, on the breakouts.
I got a quick question for Christina. Christina, did you have any type of vendor displays or anything like that in your in your event?
So for HUVA, we had virtual exhibitors, sponsors. We didn't have a lot of them. We probably had like 10.
Right.
They had very simple virtual booths. They could put up a video, put up documents, have the contact information, description, and then they could put up a live stream link as well. And so what we did was, in the agenda, we made sure to have very, very dedicated time. So the program went over the course Monday through Friday, but on Wednesday and Thursday, we had 2 1.5 hour periods each day that were dedicated exhibit hours. So our sponsors weren't having to, be there the whole time. And right. It was because we had it so specific, it was a lot easier to push and convince our attendees to go and visit. And they did. They did go and visit our attendees who set up a live, and not all of them set up a live link, but most of them did. And they all said they had people coming by and had some good one-on-one conversations that way.
Good, good. As far as the planning cycle for a typical live event that you've done in the past and compared to this virtual event you just did, what was your timeline?
That's a really interesting question. So this is a program that I pivoted from live to virtual. I've done it live the last 2 or 3 years, every October during the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, which of course was canceled this year. So we normally start working on that one I do an April program for them, and we normally start working on October, probably in June or July, which is about when we started doing the virtual one too. So I would say it was about the same. There was, whereas with the live one, there's more consistent work over that period. With virtual, it sort of ebbs and flows. Like there's a bunch of stuff to do, and then there's some downtime while we wait until we have more information that then we can do something with. And then there's a bunch of stuff to do. I had this conversation with Jim and Paulette, actually. I feel like it was about the same amount of hours of planning in the end, but it was a different feel. It was definitely more wavelength planning.
Yeah. So going back to my memory of our conversation yesterday, it took more hours to do it virtually.
It did ultimately, and really the reason for that is because, as I was saying before, because you launch it sooner, because we opened up the platform 2 weeks before the meeting actually started, and so for those, normally, you know, I'm doing kind of last minute things during those 2 weeks, but in this time I was actually doing things plus monitoring the engagement that already started, and, you know, continuing to push that and do rehearsals and all these other things. So yeah, I think in the end it was somewhat more. Yeah.
We have one of the people that we interviewed, Dave Dvorak with Google, who expressed that for him 2 to 3 times longer.
Deliver on digital meetings, basically take 2 to 3 times more resources. And when I talk about resources, it's not necessarily people, but it's time. To deliver a digital meeting takes typically 2 times to 3 times longer. And people don't understand that. And the reason that is because in a physical environment, you can do multiple things at the same time. You can do a sound check, lighting check, all that. In an environment of virtual, you're doing one thing at a time. You know, so I think there's a lot of activities that, you know, are not as fluent in a digital sense. It's also understanding, you know, from that standpoint, do you need additional resources to support that, you know, from that perspective.
That's a really good point. And I think if this had been a meeting with more production value to it, and this was, you know, I think I told you this one was a lot simpler. People really were just sort of at their computers. We didn't put a lot into the audiovisual portion of it. I think putting a little bit more professionalism into the production, it definitely would have been, yeah, considerably more, for sure.
So if you don't mind, it is now 5:09. We're going to move to talk about RFPs and literally questions about, if you had a meeting, what are the things that you would need to do to actually get an accurate quote? Lance, what was one of the questions that we sent out? I'm going to have our VFG, who knows what that is? Or VOG. Voice of God, speak to us. Oh, you are on video, never mind.
Yes, those technical issues always get in the way.
So much fun. Lance, we still can't hear you, but now you're on mute too, so.
So the question I want to ask you guys, thank you, and we're going to have some fun today because you're going to tell us how many snafus we had so that we can teach the learnings from doing a virtual event. And if we're not afraid to make a mistake, we're not.
No, I'm an AV guy, so I might catch them all.
All right, well, write them down. Write them down. So right now you see what is a RFP for virtual meetings. And so this is our first attempt at literally creating a questionnaire to help you that's searching for a provider, for a platform, to come up with the best one. And so I'm not going to fill this whole thing out, but what I want to do is prompt you with questions. And so I want to ask somebody who's willing to talk about a future event.
I can make one up.
All right. So tell us the name of your made up event.
It's company's global F21 kickoff, fiscal year 21 kickoff.
Wow. Couldn't it be just a general meeting?
Fine.
Okay. All right. How many attendees are you going to have?
Sorry?
How many attendees?
200 global.
All right. And will there be an on-site live portion or a
No.
hybrid?
No.
All right. And tell us about the attendee profile.
This was an internal conference. It is primarily for the salespeople of the company. However, various other departments will be attending. So you'll have engineering, marketing, other.
All right. Very good. Everybody can see what I'm typing in here, I hope?
Yes.
All right. So tell us, and now, Christina, I believe that's you because I can't see your face because I'm typing.
Yes.
The first thing that you want to do is come up with, what are your key objectives? What does success mean to you? And so, Christina, since it's your meeting, I'm going to ask you for the first objective, and then I'm going to ask somebody to call out another objective for this type of meeting.
Let's see. I would say, okay, it's a sales primarily oh no, we are doing the F21 kickoff. So let's see, a good goal would be company aligned on new strategic sales direction.
All right. So it fits in. I changed it. All right. I need someone else. Call one out.
New products and services rollouts.
All right. And this is internal. Anybody got a third one?
Introduction of new CRM system.
It said introduction of what?
New CRM system.
All right. Very good. All right. So now we've come up with our goals. And just like any program, if you come up with your goals and initiatives first, it helps to format the agenda. So we're not going to go into a major agenda. Let's pull up one agenda item for each of these things. Okay? So on this, and we'll just pretend like it's December 16th, the times don't matter, is what are we talking about here? So for agenda, we might look at, we pick agenda, and we're looking at options for agenda. So would recognition event be good for internal sales, primary engineering, panel discussion? So what's going to be most likely? But the point is this form helps you to come up with things that might make sense, but it doesn't mean you can't put in what you want. So I'm going to move this forward. I'm going to say recognition event, honor top salespeople.
Sounds good.
All right. And then we got the second one, new product launch. Okay. So again, we're going to go and we're going to use something to help us fill it out. New product launch. Would that be, that might be training, in fact, right? So that might be a general session or panel discussion. So we'll just say that for now is a general session, and we'll say train the salespeople. And then the last section we'll go with, again, agenda. And anybody else want to pick one out from these that help you to figure out, do they want to network?
Exhibits.
All right, so they exhibits, and in exhibits, what do they want to, what's one of the key requirements in exhibits?
You want to roll out that new CRM system. So you want to have the subject matter experts on hand to explain the new system.
Live presentation.
All right. So in other words, we've converted the goals into concrete specific events. And then from there, we can go to the provider needs. Okay. And so now you're talking, who are we talking to in this? It's an RFP for a platform, right? That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look up, and now we can classify this by key key characteristics. And so we don't necessarily need to get into everything, but content and design. Let's just say content and design. And maybe you need assistance with branding. Again, you're talking to a platform. Maybe you want gamification. So let's say to get our people excited, we need gamification. But again, we're going back to the objectives. We're going back to the events we have. And we're figuring out the key needs as it relates to the platform, because these relate from 1 to 2 to 3, from the 30,000 to the 10,000 to the specific needs that we have. And then you create more detail in here. So conceptually, I'm going to take this off the screen, but I'm going to show you one more thing actually. If we don't have something that you want on here, let's say that marketing was the key, and let's say that you chose in relating to marketing, all right, connects with database, but you needed an APIs 2 ways. Okay, but that's not in here. So in this format, it personalizes it, and you just say what you want it so that you can save it for the next time, and so that it's part of the discussion. So I'm going to stop the share right here, and I'm going to come back to us. And I guess the question I have is, that's a basic format for an RFP. Would you be able to answer that if it was filled out?
Would we be able to answer it as a platform?
As a platform.
I don't know. I haven't been on the side of a platform, so.
All right. So do you think that format, that's a good question though, and we're all planners are based on that. Is that a format that would work for you in requesting an RFP if you were down to 2 or 3 potential providers of a platform?
Potentially.
I think it's a good start. I think being, in the exhibit space and receiving RFPs from clients, the more information, the better. So I think that as long as that, you have flexibility to add, which looks like you showed that, I think that would definitely be a great template to start with. And I think as people get, more comfortable with trying to figure out exactly what they need, then I think it's going to probably, evolve into a more meatier content piece.
Yeah, the thing I like about it is that it's allowing you, and I remember this from working in the audiovisual business, it's kind of hard to compare apples with oranges, where when you have something like that, it makes it so it's a lot easier for the planner to be able to compare different bids, because right now I think that's an area where they're struggling really bad.
I think it also helps as you're filling something like that out. It, as with any RFP, it helps you, the planner, think through more specifically what your needs are and items that you may not have.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another thing that it would generate a lot of, questions on your end as far as, yes, I would like to have gamification, but I also want to, track who uses it and, do they use it before show, after show, that type of thing. So.
And I think even just putting in that, yes, you wanted to have gamification, and then you have to stop and think, why do I want that? What am I going to get out of that? What are my attendees going to get out of that? How important is it? What are my goals out of that gamification? Is it to get people to play together? Is it to get them to compete with each other? Is it just to get them engaged? But yeah, I think the more of that you fill out, the more you have to think through your event.
Yep. And I think what it does by going through that process, not only does it clarify what the meeting planner wants, but it also gives the virtual meeting company a better understanding of what their expectations are.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where the serious breakdown is right now, is the communication gap between the planner's expectations and what the supplier is going to deliver.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
that
go
what you're
further
doing
into
can
that.
help clarify that.
What are the CEO's expectations compared to the planners,
Oh,
then
God, they have
compared to the platform? Because you might have 3 involved. So
They
and
don't
this
know
is-
yet.
yeah,
He knows.
they don't. So I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to send this out to each of you. And so what we're trying to do here is create really a working document. This is nothing more than a resource. We're not trying to make any money off of this. We're trying to figure out what are the right questions that we can help the planner that's never been in virtual before come up with. What are realistic things to ask the platforms, the full service platforms, so that you get a realistic bid. That's all we want, because the worst thing that can happen is that you put out a bid, you don't ask the right questions, you get a bid, it's $30,000, it does everything you need, and then you start planning it and it's another $30,000. Okay, because you put a quote in for 30, now it's 60, and now you're not going to break even. But the point is that it's a two-way street. If you've ever been on the provider side, you can quote anything you want as long as you know the details up front. And that's where scope creep comes in. So I'm going to ask you, and I hope you like this thought of the concept, but I'm asking for your help because it's our document, our resource. And I mean ours, I mean yours and ours for virtual meetings. So right now, 100% said networking. Every single one of the people on this call said networking. The next is educational resources, followed by provider listings and search. It's funny because the first topic you wanted to talk about was engagement, but only 2 of 9 want that from us. And job listings, only 2 of 9. Other, well, I guess we left that open. So very good. Can you see that, Paulette? All right, can you end that? Thank you.
Networking is engagement.
Networking isn't, so you know what? That's a good point, because what that says is I'm not just looking for engagement. That's actually really good. I'm looking for networking engagement. So that is a
I wasn't
good
sure
point.
if you meant learn about gamification or actually have gamification as part of it. I wasn't really, I didn't answer that one because I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
What do you see? This? All right, so very good. So we're going to take those results and help us with the next one, but clarifying what that is, I heard you there. So this is a new series we started on Tuesday, which is Just a Minute, and we've done 10 interviews with people where we talk and we break it down to just a minute, and then we have the full interview. So the first person that we did, and I hope I have the sound on this one.
Hobbies are on the golf course or painting or watching a football game for me. Like that's how we actually create that networking that's not networking.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hard.
For once, maybe ever in the history of the events exhibitions industry, I think we find ourselves as part of the tip of the spear or the cutting edge in the joining a digital and physical experience in something, and getting people to engage is fundamental to our business. It's going to enable and support a paradigm shift that plays out in all aspects of our lives. You're watching and they're there, or in the TV itself, that now we've got split screens and you've got your friends and they're up in front of you on your TV and you're watching, and we're able to interact in that medium somehow, like where we're pointing things out and say, no, replay that and look, and everyone's, and that's engagement in a platform. So isn't that exciting for us as an industry that we find ourselves in a little more leading role now?
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.
So thank you, Mr. Scott, for doing that just a minute. He's got actually a full episode, which is full of a lot of great information. That was just a cut to really explain what it's about. But obviously engagement is one of the key issues. And I know, Brian, you're talking about that later on in some other shows that you're in. But that is the number one aspect we've had. I'm going to ask you a different question, though, because we did talk about engagement is how do you want your bites of information from us? Is a 1-minute clip and then referral to the full video?
I like the 1-minute clip. Just gives you a little bit of, summary of what it is. And if it interests you, you can certainly go and look at the longer video.
Exactly. It's like a teaser, a trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, people aren't going to pay attention, if it's a long run. So you want to grab them quick.
But then they might go and check out the rest of it if they think, oh, that was pretty cool. I want to see more.
So we're going to end with one last poll that Lance is going to put up. We thank you for your participation. We definitely want to hear what we can do better. So please do respond, but also put in the notes as to what we can do better and what we should do next time. It's anonymous, so don't worry.
Yeah, I agree, Christina. You just chatted to send the cocktail recipe in advance. That way we could purchase the supplies. I didn't have any of the supplies except the wine.
Same. I was like, I have the wine. Nah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what, Lance?
I didn't even have time to get wine. I'm drinking my water.
I did mix something up, but it wasn't them. No, this was good. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you guys very much. Please do recommend others join us. We do try to keep this to really 15 to 20 people because otherwise it's really impossible to have a real conversation. So do let us know and let us know any thoughts you have. Our objective is to make value for everybody that's involved. And the only way we know that is if you tell us what's important to you. So please do that.
Shake, 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 shake. Oh, shake, 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 shake. Oh, shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.